Dr. Phyllisa and I am a type 2 diabetic. I was diagnosed last year at the age of 32 years old.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I just turned 36 years old, and my type 2 diabetes diagnosis just turned 7 years old.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm a type 2 diabetic. I was diagnosed 16 years ago when I was 24 years old.
Hi, my name is Sue. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes about 4 years ago, 2 weeks before I turned 38 years old.
I struggled from the time I graduated college until that moment of diagnosis with weight. Part of that had to do with long time undiagnosed hypothyroidism, which made it really hard to lose weight, especially since I was tired all the time. And even when I was really trying to lose weight, it just didn't seem to come off, especially as I got closer to that diagnosis, which happened about 2 months before my type 2 diagnosis.
Everything seemed perfectly fine, and one day I got really sick, and I went to the doctor and I told her that I was having these symptoms. At that time I probably had about 3 classic diabetes symptoms, and she told me that it was because I was working out 5 days a week and my electrolytes were off, so I needed to drink more Gatorade. A week later, after drinking Gatorade, i.e. adding sugar into my body, I went to her because I had passed out the night before. And when I went to her, she told me that I wasn't a case for the emergency room. However, the nurse told me your glucose isn't registering, and that's not a good thing. So I called my mom, who's a nurse, and I said, Mom, they told me my glucose isn't registering, that's not a good thing. My mother said, go to the emergency room now. And in the emergency room, the woman asked me, how long have you been a diabetic? And I said, diabetic? I'm not diabetic. She said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. She said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. I don't even know any diabetics. And she turned the glucometer around and she showed me the number 593. And she said, not only are you diabetic, you're about to go into a coma. At the time, they didn't know if I was type 1, type 1.5, or type 2. They just knew that I needed insulin. And I didn't know that I was type 2 until after 6 days in the hospital, when I visited my endocrinologist and the results had come back.
At the time, I was showing no signs of, no symptoms at all. I was running 5Ks under 20 minutes and felt fine. Went for a health exam for insurance, and they found glucose spilling over in my urine. So they sat me down and said, it looks like you might have diabetes. They took my blood, and I went home, laced up my shoes, and went to the track and ran hard, because that's what I do. A couple weeks later, I got the diagnosis. I was a type 2. At the time, I was training for my first triathlon, so I used that as therapy to come to terms with what I was dealing with, you know. I didn't know anything about diabetes, and I thought it was a death sentence. Actually, I thought it was worse than that. I thought it was going to be me falling apart bit by bit, you know, losing a toe, losing my feet, going blind, limp noodle, all the great stuff you hear about.
I went to the doctor to talk to him about some knee pain I was having. While I was there, he offered to do a blood draw, a general wellness panel, as well as an arthritis panel. And I asked him while we were at it, could we go ahead and do an A1C, which checks your blood sugar over the last 3 months. I have a family history of diabetes. My mom has type 2 diabetes. Her father had type 2 diabetes. And I also had gestational diabetes with all 5 of my pregnancies. So we did the blood draw, also did a fasting blood sugar. I had been fasting that morning. It was an early appointment. That was done on Friday. I got a call on Monday and was told that I didn't look like I had arthritis, but I did have type 2 diabetes.
I'm a spontaneous person, and diabetes, unfortunately for me, calls for a routine. Eating this time, the same time every day, this type of food, having your glycemic index all in balance. So the hardest thing that I'm experiencing as a diabetic is a routine.
It is hard at times because people assume that I've always been on the lighter side, but I have struggled with weight. In that same vein, even though I am at a really good weight for myself right now, I still have to watch everything. I have to watch my food, I have to watch my exercise, I have to take my metformin, and I have to keep checking my blood sugar. But it is very difficult to be diagnosed young with type 2. There is such a stigma about you must have done something to yourself. And I'd say no. You never know what the backstory is of someone with type 2 diabetes. It could be an undiagnosed thyroid, it could be some other medical condition that makes it difficult to exercise, or a dietary requirement that makes carbs more important than other food groups.
The hardest part about dealing with diabetes is the emotions. When it comes to diabetes, I get sad, I cry. Then I get angry. I'm mad at diabetes. I was only in my 30s. I'm not obese. I'm not stereotypical. Why did I get type 2 diabetes? And then I take action. I want to fight. I want to find a cure for diabetes. I want to do everything I can so that my kids don't have the same fate.
Most days I feel alone because I have no family history of diabetes. Like most of my friends, matter of fact, all of my friends don't have diabetes, so I feel alone pretty much in every crowd that I'm in, except for when I'm on Twitter and the DOC.
Another thing that's hard about diabetes is the sudden highs and lows. I can be eating something and not have counted the carbs right or not adjusted for my activity level, and I can go, I have a high blood sugar. I can also be doing simple things like housework, playing with my children, working in the garden, and all of a sudden my blood sugar goes low. I feel guilty that I'm having to stop what I'm doing, sit down, eat something, so that my blood sugar can come back up so I can continue our activities.
So what would surprise people about me if they didn't know that I was a type 2 diabetic? Well, it's my love for traveling and adventures. Currently behind me is the Dubai Fountain. I'm in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. I've climbed the Great Wall of China, I've done sandboarding and lots of things. And because I'm newly diagnosed, I'm still learning how to keep that passion alive, but I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
What can I do with diabetes? Anything I want. I can eat ice cream, I can have candy, exercise, I can play with my children, I can go on a treadmill for an hour, I can do Zumba for an hour. I'm a substitute teacher. I can adjust to having my lunch schedule change. And it can be anywhere from 10:30 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I can travel, be the mom I want to be. I can do anything I want.
Once I was diagnosed, I decided to just go full force into diet and exercise. Over 15 months, I lost 50 pounds, and I ended up walking one of those charity walks, 26.2 mile one day and 13.1 mile the next. I made it through the entire first day, and then after 2 or 3 miles the second day, I just couldn't, but I was still way proud of myself.
I've done countless 5Ks, a couple 10Ks, half marathons, 4 marathons, 2 of them good, 2 of them horrible, but you know, that's part of it. I've done half Ironman. I'm training for an Ironman now. I haven't punched my ticket for Boston or Kona yet, but I'm still here. I'm still trying. I'm faster than most. Well, depends on the day.
What would I say to others that are dealing with my situation? I would say you can do it. Find yourself a good support system, do a lot of reading, learn how you react to different foods, because each person's different.
Diabetes hasn't slowed me down, actually. It's pointed out, I don't have time to waste. I have to live my life every day and make it count, make each day count. It's stupid, but, diabetes has helped me focus on what's the important stuff in my life. When I was diagnosed at 24, I was clueless and wasting a lot of my energy on stupid things and stupid people. But I've refocused and I have a better grasp of what's important in my life.
So here's my advice for other type 2 diabetics. Number 1, incorporate exercise. 2, eat properly. And if you do those things, it's not for everyone, but you may become a med-free diabetic like myself. 3, don't be ashamed that you're diabetic. Sometimes it's better to tell people than to remain silent. And 4, just remember to have fun, enjoy life. Remember that you have diabetes. You're diagnosed, but not defeated.
It's just how you deal with it. If you take charge of trying to get as fit as you can, and I'm not saying that you have to lose all this weight either. It's more about keeping fit and watching what you eat and all of that rather than how much you weigh. And I think that anybody could do this, including you.